Hello everybody, welcome back to the table. Today we are going to take a look at the CRKT Kith. This right here is a new release for 2021, and this is a budget option from the mind of Ken Steigerwalt. And so I followed a couple of his designs over the years, so that's one of the reasons why I chose to pick up this folder. But this knife comes in at the price point of around $30, so we can see what we get for that price. So the main feature of the Steigerwalt Kith is the front lock design. So we can see rather than being the traditional back lock where the locking mechanism is towards the rear of the knife, it is more situated toward the front, which the idea is you can just use your thumb to situate that lock and close it. So it makes it a little bit more user friendly. But a few design options, I should say, were made for this knife to make it more of a budget-friendly choice for people. And the first one of those choices is actually kind of nice. So when you look at the handles here, take a look at the handles. These are a GRN handle, so glass reinforced nylon, essentially plastic. But look at the pattern, look at the texture. It's almost like a mixed camouflage texture, all in black. And so when you hold it up to the light, it looks really cool. It's almost like a kind of like a faux carbon fiber almost, but it is that GRN material, which helps make this knife lightweight. So overall, this knife's weight comes in at about 2.2 ounces. And the blade length here, we are looking at sub 3 inches, so 2.95 inch blade. And the overall length being about 6.75 inches. So this is definitely the small, medium-sized everyday carry knife you might be looking for, and it is definitely a budget option. So our blade steel here, this is an 8CR13 MOV blade. It comes with this satin finish on it, and you can see the markings. One side says Steigerwalt Design, and the model number, the 6433, whereas the opposite side just has the CRKT logo. And we have dual thumb studs here, so it is very much an ambidextrous knife in that regard. Our show side of the blade, though, we can see a decorative pivot with these 3 holes. Not really meant to be used, I think, because the opposite side does have your standard T8 Torx bit. We do have a pocket clip on this knife, which is nice. It is a nice deep carry clip. You can see these screws are recessed into the handle, so this being a GRN material, it's going to slide in and out of your pants like a dream. So there's really no problem carrying this knife, except that it's not reversible. So our pocket clip is going to be one position only, and that's going to be right hand carry, tip up. So very interesting design here. I want to make a few quick comparisons and then tell you, of course, my thoughts on the knife. But that being said, one of the things I wanted to compare it to initially, and the reasons why I bought this knife, is because I already owned a Steigerwalt design here. This particular one was made by Benchmade under the branding of NRA Outdoors. And so this is essentially, in my mind, almost the same pattern of knife. So look at the shape overall here. A lot of the Steigerwalt designs have kind of like a curved back, so we can see how it's kind of curved here on both of these knives, and it's just a very similar design style, a design mechanism there. They're both front lock knives, and this particular one, though, it's a little bit smaller, but it is a US made folder, micarta scales. It's an interesting design. I mean, it's a pinned design, so you can't really adjust it at all. But that's really not a downside, so really nice folder. This one was manufactured, like I said, by Benchmade, and this was some years ago, so these are long out of production. But seeing this knife is kind of one of the things that led me to wanting to buy the Steigerwalt Kith, because we see a very similar design pattern here, but in a production run knife. So that's kind of cool. So overall, though, I will make one more quick comparison for you all. So this being a 3-inch folder, I do, of course, want to pull out my standard Kershaw blur, and so the blur is of course going to be a little bit larger in overall dimensions there, but it just gives you some sort of a size comparison for your own mind. So you can see those again side by side, pivot to pivot, but very much a budget option for this year, the Steigerwalt Kith. Now the name Kith, from the CRKT website, they're saying that's an Old English word for the word friend. So it kind of makes sense there. They are also producing a slightly larger variant of a Steigerwalt design called the Kova. I opted not to pick that one up because I wanted a knife here that would be as similar to my Benchmade Steigerwalt as possible. So these two are more of a similar to each other. But if you prefer this pattern or a similar pattern, but with a slightly larger blade, then they have you covered. So the overall first impressions of this knife, they're really not bad at all. It's very much a everyday carry knife. It's a budget knife. For everything from the steel to the action, it reflects that. So being a front lock design, there's really no way to test lockup. You can see the centering's totally fine. There's no play in the blade. The pivot is not Loctited in. I was able just to loosen that to try and play with the action, because being a lock or a front lock design, it's not going to fly out of the handle. You definitely got to get some wrist action if you want to quickly flip open your knife. So it is doable, but it's going to take some significant force on your part to make that happen. I am glad, though, they didn't waste weight on the knife by trying to make it an assisted opener or doing any of those silly things. It is just a traditional folding knife with a front lock design rather than a back lock. It's totally fully functional. Nice polished clip, satin finished blade. Really nothing to complain about here. It's a perfect workmanlike knife. So again, really no complaints, but I think you should know what you're getting into. If you purchase this knife, it's very plain Jane, not much to it, but that's not a bad thing at all. It's just meant to be a working knife. And with that 8CR13 steel, you're going to get a nice steel that's easy to resharpen and should hold a decent edge for everyday activities. So just wanted to share this one, and I like the design of the knife more than the knife itself. I like the designer Steigerwalt's designs, and that's why I purchased this one. So if you have any questions about the CRKT Kith in the black GRN handles, then feel free to leave a comment below. I'm happy to answer those for you. But I hope you enjoyed watching this and were entertained and informed. But have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.